Have you ever noticed how some men enter a room and immediately command the respect of everyone? It's not about height, not about muscles, not even about money. It's about presence. That presence that separates ordinary men from elite men. What you're about to discover are the 12 fatal mistakes that are silently destroying your image without you realizing it. Mistakes that make people around you form judgments about you in a matter of seconds. Judgments that can cost opportunities, relationships, and respect. When David Beckham enters a room, he doesn't need to announce his arrival. His elegance speaks for him, and it's not just about expensive clothes. It's about how he behaves, how he interacts, how he respects the invisible codes of the elite. You might be making these mistakes right now without even realizing it. Let's find out. 1. Saying "nice to meet you." Seems harmless, right? Wrong. When you say "nice to meet you" at the first encounter, you re-presuming an intimacy that doesn't yet exist. Elite men know that respect is built, not presumed. They opt for "how are you?" or simply "it's a pleasure." It's subtle, but makes all the difference. At a recent dinner with executives from a technology company, I observed how the CEO greeted each person with a simple "how are you?" accompanied by a firm gaze and a precise handshake. Nothing more was necessary to establish authority. The language of the elite is precise. Each word has weight, each expression has purpose. You don't waste words when each one defines who you are. Think about it. When you meet someone new, how do you really know if it was a pleasure to meet them? You are making a hasty statement that may sound false. The elite prefer potential to assumption. They don't say it was a pleasure, they demonstrate it over time. And here's the truth that few understand. The more you try to appear sophisticated, the less sophisticated you appear. That's why the elite avoid expressions that seem rehearsed or overly formal. Do you really want to impress? Stay authentic, direct, and precise in your words. 2. Introducing yourself alone. Here's a mistake that immediately separates the nouveau riche from the truly established: self-introduction. In exclusive circles, you don't introduce yourself. You are introduced. It's a system of social validation that has existed for centuries. When someone respected introduces you, you inherit part of that person's credibility. Think about how the most exclusive clubs in New York or London work. You don't simply show up and ask to enter. You need a member to endorse you. The same principle applies to elite social circles. When you introduce yourself, you're essentially saying, "Nobody here knows me well enough to validate me." Of course, there are exceptions. If you're in a situation where there's no other option, do it with elegance and brevity. But whenever possible, seek to be introduced by someone. The next time you at an event, observe how the most respected men in the room rarely approach strangers directly. They navigate through connections, through introductions. It's like a social chess game where every move is calculated. Remember, in the elite, your social value is often determined by who introduces you. 3. Holding the glass by the bowl. This mistake may seem trivial, but it's instantly revealing. The way you hold your wine or champagne glass says a lot about your education and refinement. Elite men always hold the glass by the stem. It's not a question of aesthetics, it's functional. Holding it by the bowl transfers heat from the hands to the drink, altering its ideal temperature. Additionally, it leaves fingerprints on the glass, which is considered inelegant. At a recent reception, I noticed how a real estate magnate held his champagne glass delicately by the base, almost as if it were a natural extension of his hand. It was elegant, discreet, and demonstrated knowledge. Compare this with the novice, who grabs the glass as if holding a beer at a sports bar. The difference is striking. This small detail separates those who know the unwritten rules from those who are still learning the basics. And believe me, people notice. The next time you're at an event, observe how people hold their drinks. You'll be able to immediately Identify who understands the nuances of etiquette and who doesn't. And of course, it's not just about impressing, it's about respecting the drink, the occasion, and ultimately, yourself. 4. Thanking too much. Gratitude is a virtue, but excess of it is a sign of insecurity. Elite men thank once, with sincerity and firmness. After that, the matter is closed. When you repeatedly thank for the same gesture, you re-signaling that you feel inferior or undeserving. The elite operate with the presumption that they deserve what they receive, not out of arrogance but self-confidence. Observe how the truly powerful accept compliments or favors with a genuine smile and a direct thank you. There's no need to elaborate or repeat. At a recent charity event, I observed how the host accepted a generous donation check with a simple, "I appreciate your contribution," and a firm handshake. There were no exaggerations, no unnecessary effusiveness. That's because in the elite, it's presumed that everyone is doing what is expected. Excessive gratitude suggests surprise, as if you didn't expect to be treated well. Remember, thank sincerely, but with moderation. Your gratitude should have weight, not volume. 5. Talking about money. This is perhaps the most revealing mistake of all. Nothing screams nouveau riche louder than talking about how much things cost. Elite men never discuss prices, salaries, or the value of their possessions. For them, this would be as vulgar as discussing bodily functions at dinner. True wealth whispers, it doesn't shout. It's demonstrated through the quality of your choices, not through comments about them. I've been at dinners where someone casually commented on the price of another guest's watch or car. The uncomfortable silence that followed was deafening. These comments immediately mark someone as an outsider who still doesn't understand the rules. In contrast, observe how the truly rich appreciate objects for their craftsmanship, history, or beauty, never for their price. If you want to be treated as elite, never ask how much something cost, never comment on the value of something you own, and certainly never talk about your own salary or assets. Financial discretion isn't just elegant, it's strategic. It maintains an air of mystery and prevents judgments based solely on numbers. 6. Being overly polite. It seems contradictory, but there is a limit to politeness. When you constantly apologize, smile excessively, or agree with everything, you are not being polite, you are being subservient. Elite men are polite, but with clear limits. They don't bow to others' opinions just to seem agreeable. They maintain their positions with courtesy and firmness. Observe how a true leader disagrees in a meeting. I understand your point, but I see the issue differently. There are no apologies, no desperate attempt to soften the divergence. True confidence allows you to disagree without being disagreeable. It allows you to establish boundaries without being rude. At a recent corporate event, I observed how a senior executive politely declined a proposal without apologizing for doing so. It was a definitive no, but delivered with such elegance that it almost seemed like a compliment. Remember, your agreement should be valuable, not automatic. Your politeness should come from strength, not insecurity. 7. Making demands with food. The way you handle food you like reveals a lot about your social sophistication. Elite men never make a scene about food preferences at social events. If something doesn't please their palate, they simply don't eat it. There's no need for explanations or worse, criticism of the chef. They discreetly move the food around the plate and continue the conversation as if nothing happened. At a dinner with a career diplomat, I observed how he politely ignored a dish that clearly wasn't to his liking. Not a word was said, no facial expression revealed his discontent. The meal proceeded without interruption. Compare this with the behavior of demanding substitutions, asking detailed questions about ingredients, or worse, complaining openly. These actions mark someone as difficult and unsophisticated. True elegance is in causing the least disturbance possible, even when something isn't tea to your taste. Of course, allergies and medical restrictions are understandable exceptions. But even these should be communicated discreetly to the host or waiter, never announced at the table. 8. Dressing flashily or incorrectly. The elite wardrobe is defined by its discretion. Truly refined men don to wear clothes covered in logos or excessively flashy pieces. They value fabric, cut, and fit above all. Look at David Beckham again. As an example, his public appearances are studies in discreet elegance. Even when wearing luxury brands, it's the pieces themselves that impress, not the logos. The golden rule of the elite is, dress to impress those who know what to look for. This means quality perceptible only to the initiated. The suit that looks simple to the casual observer, but that the connoisseur recognizes as a masterpiece of craftsmanship. In contrast, the nouveau riche often fall into the trap of wearing what is obviously expensive, covered in logos, or excessively fashionable. It's an attempt to prove their status, which paradoxically ends up undermining it. Remember the fundamental principle. The truly established don need to prove anything to anyone. Their confidence allows them to wear what is appropriate for the occasion, perfectly fitted to their physique without the need for showiness. A well-chosen $500 watch often looks more sophisticated than an ostentatious $50,000 watch. It's about choice, not price. 9. Using your cell phone during meals. Nothing diminishes your image more quickly than constantly checking your phone in social settings, especially during meals. Elite men treat dinner as a ritual that deserves respect. They keep their phones away and give complete attention to those present. This focus demonstrates consideration and communicates that you value the people around you more than digital distractions. At a recent lunch with a CEO of a global company, I noticed that his phone never appeared. When asked about it later, he simply said, "Nothing is so urgent that it can wait an hour to respect the person in front of me." Besides, compare this with the increasingly common behavior of keeping the cell phone on the table, checking it constantly, or worse, answering calls during the meal. Each time you check your phone, you're effectively saying, "There's something more important than you." The elite understand that true power lies in attention. Who controls your attention controls your presence, and presence is everything. If you want to be treated as elite, start by treating shared time with others as sacred. Your email will survive without you for a few hours. 10. Explaining too much economy of words is a trademark of the elite. When you offer extensive explanations for simple decisions, you convey insecurity about your authority to make them. Elite men communicate with surgical precision. I want to be able to attend as is sufficient. There's no need to elaborate a detailed story explaining why. I observed this difference at a corporate meeting when two executives declined a project. The first offered a detailed explanation, almost apologizing. The second simply said, "It's not the direction we want to go at this time." Guess which one seemed more in control? When you explain too much, it seems like you re-seeking approval or permission. Two things that elite men rarely seek. The next time you need to decline an invitation or refuse a suggestion, try doing so without elaboration. You'll notice how this changes the power dynamic in the conversation. Your decision should seem definitive and well-considered, even if it's succinct. Less is definitely more when it comes to explanations. 11. Correcting someone in public. This is a mistake that instantly separates gentlemen from mere rule-knowers. Elite men never correct pronunciation errors, misinformation, or inadequate etiquette in public. They understand that true education is about making others feel comfortable, not displaying knowledge at the expense of someone else's embarrassment. I've witnessed situations where someone incorrectly pronounced the name of an expensive French wine at dinner. The truly sophisticated continued the conversation without hesitation. Those aspiring to elite status quickly corrected the error, creating a moment of unnecessary discomfort. If you really need to correct someone, do it in private, with kindness, and only when the information is truly relevant. Most of the time, it's better to let it pass. Remember, the goal of etiquette is not to police others' behavior, but to facilitate harmonious social interactions. Public corrections do exactly the opposite. True elegance lies in making others feel valued and respected, even when they make small mistakes. 12. Trying too hard to impress. The last and perhaps most revealing mistake. The visible effort to impress. Elite men don't try to impress, they simply are impressive. When you tell stories designed to highlight your achievements, casually mention your important connections, or insert references to your assets into the conversation, you are signaling insecurity, not confidence. True elegance lies in naturalness. It's about being so comfortable in your own skin that you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Observe how the truly powerful often divert attention from themselves, asking genuine questions and showing interest in others. They don't monopolize the conversation with anecdotes about their own extraordinary lives. The obvious attempt to impress is, ironically, the quickest way to do exactly the opposite. Remember, the strongest impression you leave is the one you done to try to leave. The power of refined authenticity. What do all these mistakes have in common? They reveal a fundamental insecurity, a need to prove something. And nothing is less attractive to the elite than the desperate need to belong. True elegance comes from refined authenticity. It's about knowing the rules so well that you know when to break them. It's about being so secure in your place in the world that you don't need to announce it. These 12 mistakes are more than just etiquette rules. They are insights into a mindset. The mindset that separates ordinary men from exceptional men. If you enjoyed this content and want to transform your elegance into real power, subscribe now to the channel and activate the bell. Each video is a step in your journey to becoming an elite man. Leave a like if you want to learn how to transform your presence into influence. And share this video with that friend who needs to hear this. And in the comments, share, elegance is power. That's the truth that few men discover, but that changes everything when applied. Until the next video. As always, elegance is not optional, it's essential.